Yay! All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I am here with Colleen. She has done the Pikes Peak Marathon. We are going to talk to her. We're going to let everybody get on here for just a second. We'll just give you guys just a couple of minutes to get on. But we're so excited to have you, Colleen. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah? Doing
Coming off
good?
a week of trying to lay low, but that's hard for me to do. So just back at
Well, your
having
definition of laying low is doing the incline like 3 or 4 times, right?
fun. Yeah, I have a goal on that, so I just
What
keep
is your
working.
goal on that?
Well, I'm trying to get 46 done in my 46th year of life. COVID obviously put a little damper on that because they had it closed for like 5 months. So now it's kind of a scramble to finish it.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I know we have a few coming on. We'll let more and more come on as we go, but let's start talking about this, girl. So, first of all, congratulations on completing the PP. It's the PPM, right? Pikes Peak
Yes.
Marathon. And you did that on August 23rd. Is this your first time doing anything like this?
Pretty much. I've done the Pikes Peak Ascent once for real, and once they called it the Disappoint Ascent because everybody turned around at bar camp. But I've never done a marathon, and up until this, I'd never gone that far before in my life. So yeah, first time. Closer
Okay.
to home, I think is kind of what I've always said, and so I lived up to that, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. Go big only, right? You're not going home at all. Well, awesome. Well, who and what was your inspiration for completing this amazing goal?
Um, Pretty much my family. I have two kids that are 13 and 11, boy and a girl, and I'm just trying hard to walk the talk and have them lead active lifestyles. And I want
Mhm.
them to see that mom is doing the same thing. So when I ask them to do their work, they see that I'm also doing mine. And I really want to, I mean, I'd like to live as long as I possibly can and be healthy enough to watch them grow up as far as I possibly can. So really,
It is
it's for them.
amazing. Yeah, it is amazing how much they see and how much they watch, right? And how much they can get from mom and dad. If mom and dad are active and doing things, hopefully it gets into their mind and brain to kind of be active as well. So I love that. Tell me a little bit about yourself, like your kids, your family, your hobbies, all that kind of good stuff.
Um, Well, like I said, I've got two kids: a son who's 13, a daughter who's 11, and I'm married to a real life rocket
That's
scientist.
crazy.
Everybody jokes about that, but in our house, it's actually true. My kids both play. She plays softball. He plays baseball. So a lot of my time and energy is spent kind of chasing around after them and taxiing them here and there and cheering for them and along with my husband, trying to make sure that they get what they need in terms of lessons. And they also do jujitsu, which for from him, he likes to translate to wrestling, and for her, I translate that to I won't have to worry about her very much.
Wow.
Which
Oh, they
she,
both do it. That's awesome.
so yeah, and then of course my love for myself is just to get out on the trails, and I love where we live. So many options for that here, and I'm grateful for a very flexible job. I work as an assistant for a real estate agent, and so a lot of my work can be done really early in the morning, or late at night, or in the middle of the day, or just kind of whenever most of the time. So I'm very blessed to have that, so I can work around my kids and my trails and all that.
Your kids and your trails. I love that. Well, that's awesome. So it sounds like you have a lot going on with kids and husbands and work, but you're still able to get all this in. So I love it. So let's kind of go back to the beginning then. Let's talk about when and why did you start trail running? What made you want to do this?
Um, I've always been a little bit of a runner, all from childhood. I watched my dad run a marathon when I was a kid, and I've always done shorter distances, 5K running and stuff, and then I've also always loved hiking. And when we finally moved back to Colorado in 2010, I really took advantage of the fact that okay, here we are, we have all these trails. And then a friend, I had two friends. One kind of started encouraging me to run the flat sections and the downhills on the trails because I'd never really considered that. And so we started doing that together. And then kind of at the same time, I had a friend ask if I would be the backup plan for their Ragnar team, which was a road Ragnar, but still long distance kind of nonetheless. And I ended up not being the backup plan because somebody did drop out. And so I did that. And in that van were a bunch of people that had just done the Pikes Peak Ascent and the Pikes Peak Marathon. And so then we came off the Ragnar and we were like, all right, here we go. Who's going to do the ascent? And then once I committed to doing that, the training really turned mostly to trails to get the elevation gain and get the feeling for running on trails. So that's kind of how it started.
So you literally, so that's exciting. You got off the Ragnar. Now the Ragnar, let's talk about what that is a little bit, right? So it's how many miles is it and how many people, and you guys are in a van. Let's talk about that a little bit because I don't know if everybody knows what it is.
So in this case, it was the road Ragnar. And here in Colorado, the year I did it, it started just outside of Copper. I think it might have started down in Frisco and it ran all the way into Snowmass. And so it's 2 vans on a team, and each van I think is like 6 people. And so there's no sleep. You run it like a relay, really. So all 6 people in the van each run a leg. And then as soon as they finish, then the other van full starts. And as soon as they finish, then the first van goes again. And the distance of the legs were kind of all over the place. My longest was just about 10 miles. And then I think I had a 5 mile and a 4 mile or something. And then you run through the night. It doesn't matter, right? Like time's kind of not, and you sleep on the floor in a gym. And in this case, I didn't know anybody in my van. The lady that I knew was actually in the other van. So it was a good way to put myself outside of the box and meet a few people.
Yeah.
So definitely.
That sounds like fun. And it's kind of one of those things, like once you get off such of an adrenaline rush like that, right? And then you've got all these people in the same van that do crazy, all these cool things. You're like, okay, let's do it. Let's do Pikes Peak, right?
Yeah, we really get talked into it.
That is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about, so what was your approach after you decided you're going to do this marathon? You're like, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going 26 miles. Did you have a particular program or anything that you did for training for this?
I didn't really have a specific program because my life in general is just too chaotic to really stick to anything in particular. Between even the flexible job, there's times when stuff will come up that I didn't know was going to come up. And so I kind of have to be able to bend back and forth. And especially with my kids, typically I'm gone all weekend between softball and baseball tournaments. So sticking long runs in can be a little bit of a challenge per a prescribed plan. So I kind of just knew, about 3 months out, I needed to make sure that I went for a fairly long outing once a week, and then just kind of tried to keep the mileage consistent. I usually tried to go for about 4,000 feet of elevation gain within a week, all the different ones adding up. And then I tried to get around 30 miles per week until 3 months out. And then I upped it a little bit, each week. Sometimes it didn't work and sometimes it did work. I joined Orange Theory, of course, which is where I met you.
Yeah.
To force myself to do things besides running. So a little bit more work with weights, trying to understand the heart rate zones better, just trying to be better for myself. So that was great. And then I'm trying to think what else. I did make a concerted effort to be careful with weight, simply because I'm not a young chicken, and my joints, I knew that if I wasn't kind to my joints, I wasn't going to get that mileage in. So it was kind of a general plan that started in January and just ramped up slowly as each month came through. And then I really wanted to try one time a full marathon, but they have the summit all messed up at the top, and there's a really difficult mile detour to get to the house. So I kind of scrapped that plan, and I think the furthest I actually ended up doing was 22 miles.
Oh, okay,
it was on Pikes. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, what I love about what you just said is it kind of seems like you really knew that you needed to kind of cross train, right? You don't want to just only run. You don't want to only because that can like cause injury. And you kind of realized, hey, I need to have some strength training. I need to have some of these other elements in it. So I love that you knew that and did that. And it doesn't sound like you have a lot of injuries because of that, right? It sounds like you're
I
feeling pretty good.
I am. I've been very lucky, and I mean, I really do think that a lot of it worked. Also, I think part of Orange Theory, the thing that helped me there was focusing on stretching,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
because again, it helps tremendously. And I've fallen a few times along the way, and I've tweaked a few things here and there, but I've been very lucky not to have a serious injury. And because
Yeah.
I mean, basically been training on trails and on this mountain for over 3 years now.
Wow. Wow, that is truly amazing. So let's talk then about what, complete something when you complete something of this magnitude. We kind of talked a little bit about it, but let's really dive into like balance. It's so important. So how did you, I know we kind of talked about how you did your wife, mother, and all of your other commitments. Do you have any other comments kind of on how you did it as, having all of these things in your life to balance? Can you kind of talk to some people about how it might, how you might be able to balance something like this or just even a workout routine in general? Because some of us don't even think that we have time for working out at all. So what is your thoughts kind of on balance and life and all that crazy stuff?
So I I try to sneak things in when I can. So for a really good example of that is the fact that I typically during non-COVID years I'm gone almost every weekend for a tournament, and each tournament there's always about an hour where the kids have to do warm-ups. And so instead of sitting around in the car or setting up my chair and all that and then just kind of watching them, once they're old enough that they can be, with their coaches and stuff, they're fine. I
Mhm.
would go run. I would look on Google Maps and find what was there a trail, was there a neighborhood, where could I go and just at least get some time on the feet in. So that's kind of always been my tactic, is try to find the time that I have, use the time wisely. I am not a morning person, but I've learned how to force myself to get up early and go do it, because especially with COVID and the summer, oftentimes I was home before my kids were even awake. Um,
Wow.
then I don't have quite as much mom guilt, I guess, about what I could have been doing with them. Um, Trying to engage them if I can, get them out on a bike ride and then I'll run along with them. That's another strategy.
Yeah.
My husband sometimes will go. He's actually become more of a runner in this whole process. He used to be more of a bike rider, but um, so yeah, really, it's just trying to take advantage of the times that I had free in my day and realize that maybe I can read at night or I can sit
Mhm.
down sometime later or maybe the next day. But and then also trying to just be intentional about getting out and doing it. There are
Yeah.
days when I sure don't want to, but I think about like you and I think about some of my friends, and you just sometimes you just have to do it, even if
Yeah.
it's short. Like I think, okay, 2 miles is better than no miles. Even if I
Absolutely.
maybe wanted 5 miles that day, I'll just be happy to have the two. So
I love it. Well, that kind of goes into a little bit of like accountability, right? So how did you stay accountable and committed, right? Because you had these plans and you did this, and there's days that, oh my gosh, you just don't want to get out there, right? There's days that you probably just would have rather have stayed in bed. I mean, how did you keep yourself accountable and committed to it by, waking up and saying, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it? Was there tricks for that?
um well, a couple. Again, one was you,
Oh,
because again, when I joined Orange Theory, you were my coach, and I kind of went through a couple before I was like, "Ooh, I really connect with this lady. She makes me want to do better and work harder." And so I kind of kept trying to schedule with you. And then when
oh,
COVID hit, you put that group together, which I think we're in right now, but.
yeah.
And that was super helpful because you would put challenges out there, and then there were people that I didn't know who I was meeting, and a couple that were making me laugh about their own workouts. So I was like, okay, there's people that are looking to see what are you doing each day. Coach Lori's looking to see what are you doing each day. And then my friends, I would try to schedule runs with friends, because then you are accountable, like you're meeting somebody. And so I have a couple friends that have been really instrumental in helping me as they agreed to go out on some of these crazy outings with me. And then my family too. I know, they're always in the background rooting for me and asking about that kind of stuff. Also, I'm not a big money spender. So when I registered for the Pikes Peak Marathon, I committed to Pikes Peak Marathon, because that's not a cheap race to register for, which I get. There's so many things that they have to do to make that go. And then of course just the equipment and stuff. So I'm kind of one of those people where if I truly commit to it, I'm going to follow through on it. And I try to pick a few people along the way to help me stick to that. Even if it's just thinking of their face, if they know that I didn't do something or know that I did do something, and sticking to it.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing to be able to do that. But like you said, just put a face or put somebody encouraging you along the way. And then like you said too, like an investment, like not just money investment, but I mean, money is a little bit of a factor, right? It's like I put good money into this, I'm committed to this. And I wonder if maybe that's part of their plan too, right? Like I'm sure there's a lot to it, but maybe they say, let's make this a little bit more expensive so people actually truly do, commit to something like this. That could be a little bit part of it. Now, your motivation. So how did you stay motivated? Like, eating the right fuel, committing to certain mileages, dealing with soreness, your injuries, because you do get injured. I mean, it's not like you're breaking legs or anything like that, but I know just by what I do is I've got some heel pain sometimes, I got some knee pain. I mean, I'm just getting old. But so what do you do? What would you do when you had that soreness and you're like, the last thing I want to do is get up on that mountain? Or you have pain in your knees. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit, where you're like, I know more than likely it'd probably be best to rest the knees, but you're like, no, I've got to exercise. What in your mind gave you the motivation to kind of, get up there no matter what, no matter how bad you were feeling?
Again, it really boils down to my family and my friends, the people who knew I was doing this. I'm sure I bombarded everybody that's on my Facebook page with all my runs, my training pictures and stuff. And I know a lot of people enjoy kind of living vicariously through those pictures. They don't live in Colorado and they like the beauty of it. So that was kind of part of it. Was like, okay, they're going to know I haven't been out because I haven't posted anything, or,
I love it.
Or like I kind of said earlier, I visualize people's faces when they know that I've done something that I said I would do, or something a little more beyond what a lot of people do. I try to stick to that. And then, like I said, the Facebook posting kind of helped me accountable to myself too, even if it irritated and annoyed my friends. It was for a reason, and it was helpful to me to just put that stuff out there. So,
well, it definitely did not bore me. I mean, I live in Colorado, but I was still like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful and it's gorgeous. And I love your jumping pictures. They're the greatest things. Like literally you have this, if you guys haven't seen it yet, she has this jump that she does like in midair, like when she finishes a climb or a run. And I used to just love it. So you never bored me ever. And I mean, you were inspiration to me when I would see you doing those things. So it was phenomenal. And I think you inspired so many just by posting. And I think Facebook is such a strong tool to be able to do that, right? And like you said, it wasn't only for for your motivation, but it's for others too, right? Or not just others' motivations, but your motivation too, right? And that's kind of like why I started the group that I started, the one that we're in right now, is because it was COVID, right? And we were all like, what the crap do we do, right? So it's one of those things where you guys were just as much of a encouragement to me as I was to you. And I think it's that wonderful relationship, right? That we can have, posting what we do and then somebody else posts what they do. And it's like so much motivation there and strength and support.
Yeah, that group was super helpful. And there was one member that was so funny. Like I actually would get on and look for the funny posts, and then I'd be like, oh, I need to get going. Like, I haven't done my stuff yet today. So.
Was that Brian by chance?
It was.
Yes. I kind of figured. Hopefully Brian is watching. He'll probably see this. So let's look at a little bit. You've got we have a Facebook person that said they love the Ragnar. They have that on their bucket list. And then it says really cool. I'm past my marathon days or my half marathon days. So awesome. So keep chatting, guys. If you have questions while we're talking, please put them in the comments and we'll make sure that we get them to you. If you have any questions, I mean, not for me, but for Colleen. But so yeah, she'll answer them. So self-care, Colleen. Oh my gosh, self-care. Self-care is hard enough, right? When we are not doing marathons and not doing other things. So we know running in and of itself, it's a form of self-care, right? But sometimes too, do you almost feel like, you almost might feel like it's kind of a job when you have this, goal that you're going towards. So I know running is a great, self-care for you, but what did you do to kind of self-care outside of running?
Well, I think for me, the biggest keys really were hydrating. I hydrate like mad. You think you've got enough, and then I do more. And that's been a consistent since January. Again, in January, I kind of set some goals with myself, and one of them was making sure for good hydration. And then sleep. I'm really bad at that. But this last 6 months, I've been trying to be a lot better about that. Just because I'm already busy, and then add in a 15-mile run every week, and your body just gets tired. So those two things have been a big key for me. And then, like I kind of alluded to earlier, sometimes I just had to give myself permission to just go for a hike, and not necessarily, okay, it has to be a run or I have to have this kind of a pace. I would just pick a place that I love. In fact, one of the places that you've been with me, the Monument Rock area, that's a go-to for me when I'm having a bad day or a bad week, or I just need a little bit of time off, but yet still some time on my feet. So sometimes for me, that was it too. It was just like, okay, I can just hike. I can just walk. I just need to be outside in nature. For me, that's a huge self-care, just to be out breathing fresh air, soaking in the sunshine by myself, no music, no nothing, just listening to nature. So really, those were kind of my three big ones. Allowing a lazy day also here and there.
Lazy.
That like.
You better put quotation marks around your kind of lazy, Colleen, because I can't imagine what a lazy day for you is. But well, that is
lazy days. I'm like everyone else. Sometimes I want to watch a TV show, right? And
yes, a little bit of binge watching never hurt anybody. So well, I love it. And it sounds like reading books and things like it's probably not something you get to do all the time, but that's another, way to kind of get that self-care. So I love what you said about I can just go for a hike. I can just, do these things like, and it shouldn't even be a just, right? It should be, I did do this, but it is so nice to know that you don't always have to go out and kill it and, constantly be in training mode. You can go out and enjoy the air, the everything, and not have to worry and just be with people, be without people. It's just such a good experience, right? To have that. And it doesn't always have to be focused and planned and set up and all that. So I love that. So let's talk about what is your favorite feast of choice? How do you feel for your adventures?
I'm a little bit odd in that manner, probably, but I honestly, peanut butter works for me. I can't eat very much before I go run. I've never been one of those people. It just upsets my stomach. But if I have a couple scoops of peanut butter before I head out the door, by the time I get where I'm going, it's digested enough and it's got protein enough that it keeps me going. On the longer runs, I usually carried a small protein bar with me that I kind of knew when I needed to do it, so it wasn't too late in the game, because there's definitely a too late in the game too. A couple energy chews, things like that. I'm not a big eater. I drink more than anything. Like, I definitely had to have water with me, lots and lots of water, more than most people.
So. I saw your pack. I was like, that's a good pack of water there. So so let's talk about it. So what are your must-haves on the trail? You said you must have water. What else do you have on the trail, just to make, so if anybody wants to do this, kind of thinking of it, what things they should bring?
So I always have water. I have a 2-liter bladder, and it's either usually halfway full or all the way full, depending on how far I'm going to go. I have a small med kit. It fits into a little Ziploc bag, nothing fancy. A couple Band-Aids, some antibiotic ointment, a few wipes, um, aspirin, like little ibuprofen, whatever, in case you have a headache or if you fall. It has an electrolyte capsule in there, some salts in case I bonk on that. Just a few small things. Safety gear. I have a handheld mace, which I use when I'm kind of in some remote areas. And then I have this ripcord siren where you can clip it onto your clothes if you want. You literally just pull this little cord if you find yourself in a bad situation, and it's super loud.
Oh,
So
wow.
if I were to fall somewhere and I was off the beaten path, I could pull that and someone will eventually hear it.
Oh, wow.
Also the hope that it might scare any wildlife away from me.
Wow, I know. I've gone on too many hikes. I think I feel like I'm in, I haven't done anything. I need to probably bring mace or something because I've gone on a couple hikes where I've been like, there's probably animals out here and I have no protection. So
they're there.
they're there.
So, and I have a small knife thing that it's literally this large. It clips onto my pack just in case. And I do carry my ID and my insurance and a little bit of money. Just again, you just never know what you're gonna.
Not at all. That's perfect. That's so much more than what I would think of. But you are on that trail sometimes by yourself, right? And you're going for long distances, so you really want to make sure you have that. So, what advice would you give other trail runners or somebody that may, want to start doing this?
Don't forget to have fun with this process. Our trails are beautiful, beautiful. And sometimes when you get a little focused on not tripping and not falling, and so all you're doing is looking at the trail. One of my good friends always would be great about, okay, let's stop and take a view break, take a break, take a look around you, just soak up the moment, enjoy the peace and quiet. And then again, like I said, it's okay to walk. You don't have to run the whole time. Sometimes it's like what my friend challenged me to do, start by running the flats or by running the downhills, and then kind of add in more and more as you go, whatever you're comfortable with. And I think then something I didn't put down was find a good pair of shoes that work for you.
Yes.
It wasn't immediate for me, but once I found them, I haven't ever gone back. I just always use the same shoes over and over. And then always check your trails, like know where you're going, do your homework ahead of time, because you don't want to get out there and be lost.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be able to have fun. So, a lot of there's like an All Trails app. There's all kinds of apps where you can figure out the distance, you can figure out the elevation gain. Some of them, if you pay a little bit of money, you can actually have those maps when you're in a remote space without service. So you still will know where you are. But yeah, that too. Do your homework.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. You would have to definitely know with a trail. I've gotten lost a couple times, not like extreme lost, but I've gone like different way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like 5 different directions to go. I don't know which is the right way to go. We always ended up getting home somehow, but I can understand because it makes it not fun when you're lost and you're freaking out. It's not fun. So I totally get that. So, all right. So let's talk just a little, let's finish up here as far as what else do you think is super important, to defining your why of accomplishing such a goal? Like what are the reasons your why, why you completed this? What was your main motivation, drive, and your why?
I think why is a big one for me. I lost my mom when I was 20 in a car accident. So it was immediate and it was obviously not a known situation. And I actually am approaching the age at which she died. And so for me, why is live my life to the best of my ability, live each day and enjoy each day because you just don't know. And so she's a big why for me. Also because when I get up high like that, I feel close to her. I know she's there. I know she's helping protect me when I fall. So she's a huge why. She's always there. She's in my mind. I focus on her. I focus on the years that she didn't get, and I want to have those for her. I want her to be proud. So between her and my immediate family, my kids and my dad and my husband, these are people who I want to be around for as long as I'm given, and I don't want to take advantage of I want to take advantage of the health I've been given. I'm blessed to have a healthy body, and so, like I said, I try to write down goals for each week. Distance for me, elevation for me. I usually have those written so that I kind of know when I hit those. I use Strava. If you're a new to running, new to trail running, Strava is kind of a nice free app that you can use to track all that stuff. And again, for me, this was kind of just a perfect marriage between running and hiking, things that I enjoy doing, and also living in Colorado.
Yeah.
I'll never get tired of it. I don't take it for granted. Every day I try to obviously enjoy some piece of that. So
Yeah. And I absolutely love what you said about, your body is healthy and it can do these things. I think that's such a huge thing, is like, we have these bodies that are capable of so much, and, to be able to use them to their fullest potential is an amazing gift, that not everybody has. Right. And also, living in Colorado with the beauty and everything that we have around us, not everybody has that either. So it's such an amazing way to, kind of take all that in. So I wanted to let you know that I am super proud of you. I know you already know that, and I know that there's so many people in your life that are proud of you, but to finish, 26 miles, going up an amazing, crazy 14er, coming back down, accomplishing that goal, staying positive, your outlook, you're just such an amazing person. So I just wanted you to know that I'm so proud of you. I think you're absolutely amazing. And I was so excited to share this with everybody and talk to you today, because I remember we were hiking together, and I had like question after question after question. I'm like, how did this go? And what did you do? And I was like, I'm sure there's so many people out there that are so interested in this. So I'm thanking you so much for being on with us. One thing I kind of wanted to say to everybody before we go is kind of, what is your marathon, right? We talk about how your marathon, Colleen, is, going up the Pikes Peak Marathon, or, doing the Pikes Peak Marathon. But all of us in life have some kind of marathon, right? We all have something that is going to be a very hard goal for us to achieve. And how are we going to get there? Is it getting back in shape? Is it eating healthier? Is it losing weight? Is it finishing school, making time for yourself? Whatever that marathon is in your life, we want to make sure that, you share it with us. We work together to get these goals and these things done. In this group especially, I really feel like it's such a motivational group. So if anybody needs anything, let us know. Do you have anything to say before we go, Colleen?
I appreciate you so much, Lori. I couldn't have done this without the continuous motivation during COVID. I really couldn't. And thank you for doing this with me. It's been a super exciting journey, and I'm so happy that it turned out the way it did. So.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy we got to do this together and I made a friend out of it, and we go hiking together, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So awesome, girl. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Everybody else, if you guys have any comments or questions after you watch this on the replay, please put them in there, and we'll get them to Colleen and have her answer them. But everybody have a great day. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Thank you, Lori. Have a nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye-bye.